Hello there guys, and welcome to my channel. This is Paladboy94 and welcome to France. This is Avignon TGV station, and as you can see there are two TGVs here. Today we'll be driving on the Europe's fastest line, permitted up to 320 km per hour in the TGV duplex. We'll be travelling to Marseille Saint Charles. We have a message here, so it says, "Hello driver, this afternoon you'll be taking the express train service to Marseille Saint Charles. Open the doors for passengers to alight and board before you depart." So that's what we'll do. We'll open the doors. I believe the headlights are already set, so we don't have to do that. So today, this is the like I said, this is the duplex service. The duplex is made up of 2 power cars and 8 carriages, 4 of which are second class, as you can see here, indicated by this very greeny sort of blue colour. I don't know what the real colour is for the name for it is. Then we have a buffet slash a cafe carriage, and then we have 3 first class carriages, which I believe all TGV trains have first class on the capital end, which is similar to what the UK have, where most intercity type trains have the first class facing at London, and in the case of here in France I think that's the same with their first class trains. So I have reasons for buying this route, and one of them is being that it is the Europe's fastest line in the it's Europe's fastest line with permitted speeds of up to 320 km per hour, which is 200 miles per hour for the people who work on the imperial system. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that I recently found out that there is a TGV service to Munich on a daily basis, which happens once a day. I believe it leaves Paris at about midday and arrives into Munich at about 10 o'clock, so it's a long old journey, and it's an extension of the service that goes to Stuttgart. And why am I mentioning this service? It just seems a bit odd, doesn't it, right? So the real reason is that they use trains similar to this, actually exactly the same as this, just the latest generation, also known as the Europlex, which includes fitted with German, I don't know what the German signalling system's called, but the German in-cab signalling system, as well as Germany's 5 kilovolt, I think, AC pantographs for the voltage of the overhead, so it can operate in Germany as well. So here we are, we're departing Avignon on our way to Marseille. Current line speed 170 miles per hour as indicated by the TVM system, and once we get permitted to 320, that would be the fastest line in the in Europe, as I mentioned. So I have started building a scenario for TGV to operate to Munich, because I have the Osterburg to Munich line, which is where the TGV operates in real life on that one service a day. And that's why I bought this route. I didn't buy this route on sale, so I paid the full £24.99, and I am pretty disappointed that it only includes 3 stations, and unfortunately there's no like local type trains. So when you get off the high-speed line at Marseille, all there is TGVs. It's rather disappointed me, unfortunately. But it's only a 9 kilometer section once you get off the high-speed line from this anyway. Also doing research, because in my free time, a lot of the time I end up just reading up about interesting information that I would like to find out, like especially when it comes to like train services, aviation, and one of them was that I found out also that on this particular line you have a 1 train a day to a Eurostar train from London, which would be a route that I would love to do actually. I mean, it takes 7 hours, but hey, what can you do? So we're now permitted to travel at 300 kilometers per hour, which is not quite the fastest, but that's as fast as we can go on this line. And also that is the fastest speed permitted in the UK as well, which can only be achieved by the Eurostar on the section between Ebbsfleet and Ashford. 300 kilometers per hour is 186, or approximately 186 miles per hour. So even that's quite fast. Oh, that's a neutral section. So You'll also see in this video that I will be changing voltages to allow me to run on the local lines, or there's a lot of, from what I've seen from in-cab videos, they call it La Classique, or the classic lines. So we're now reaching 200 kilometers per hour, which is approximately 124 miles per hour, and we're still climbing. Rather interestingly, this line was one of the first high-speed lines built for the French TGV system, and France was the first place to do real, well, I wouldn't say real high-speed, because technically the real high-speed trains started in Japan, and a lot of people think the bullet train is the fastest train in the world. Well, technically it isn't. Technically the TGV is, which I think the last speed record was in 2008, and one of these, a duplex unit, reached speeds of, I think it was 574 kilometers per hour, which is bloody fast. Not on this section, unfortunately. It was on the I don't know what they call it. I think it's called the LGV L'Est, which is the east sort of service going over towards Strasbourg. So we're now approaching 320 kilometers per hour, and it should pop up on the TVM. There we are. We have now permitted to travel at 320 kilometers per hour, making us on the fastest section of railway in Europe. Like I say, in Europe, because I believe in China they have trains that run up to 350 kilometers per hour. I believe it runs between Shanghai and Beijing on trains not too similar to ones you find in Europe. In fact, I believe it's on these Siemens-built trains, which look almost exactly identical to ICE3. So you can go check that out. There's a lot of information online about it, even on Wikipedia, and you can. I believe there was also a speed run with one of those where it achieved 400. It was about 470 kilometers per hour. So, but yeah, like I say, it's not technically the fastest in the world, but here we are. We're slowly approaching 300 kilometers per hour, and you can see how, well, there's nothing dramatic at the moment, but there are certain areas of the line where there are quite steep gradients. It's just to do with the topography of the southern part of France, which is quite, I wouldn't say mountainous, or in some areas it's mountainous, some areas it's the elevation goes quite high, and so you can actually see that in this line, which I actually do like, and it's pretty realistic. I mean, at least from what I've seen from a cab video. I mean, I've never been down this part of France. I've been in northern France, I've been in the area near Strasbourg as well, so but I haven't been down this end of France, you know, down by the Med, and this is basically the gateway to the Med if you're taking the train. And I find it interesting the different type of services or different type of high-speed trains that there are now, especially in France. You got I can't remember what the name is, but it begins with an O, and they use duplex trains like this, and they're painted in a rather interesting sort of livery of a sort of greeny blue colour and pink, and it sort of stands out, and I believe it's been set up as a low-cost alternative to the normal TGV services, and I believe in the standard class area, I don't even know if they've got like two class systems. It's hard to tell because I can't find much information that's readable in English, but I suppose I could find Google Translator or something and find out about it. But so I found that out recently. They use these trains, and one of them goes down this way, down to Marseille, and I just find it really interesting that in certain carriages you've got this 3-2 configuration in a high-speed train, which is really unusual for intercity type trains to have that sort of configuration. But I suppose the whole point of the train service is to compete against the airline industry, to the likes of EasyJet and Ryanair, you know, the low-cost airline industry. One of the plus points of this route is that the sound is pretty good with the train. I don't like the running sound though, because when you idle the throttle, it just feels like all you hear is the running sound. You know, the sound of the the wind, I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know if that's true. I mean, I don't know how quiet it is inside this this cabin here. And Train Simulator's decided to freeze up. Is it gonna start up again? Don't tell me you're gonna crash, please. Oh no, there we go. Yeah, the reason why I said don't tell me it's gonna crash, I've been having problems trying to record this, and this is, I think, about the 5th attempt. I've had problems with the volume, problems with, for some reason, my headphones are not detecting, which they obviously have from Windows, but besides the point, I'm here recording now. Hopefully this is the one I'm going to be using. And I want to diversify my channel a little bit instead of doing a lot, especially with the train sim. I want to do more train sim stuff outside of the UK. As much as I love the UK routes that are available, and they're in my opinion, they are of the highest detail, but we're starting to see more and more routes in Europe, and a few in America, where the detail is actually really coming up now, and I'm starting to branch out and learning them a little bit. The German railways, I'm starting to learn a lot. I mean, I went to Germany recently. I got really interested in how the train system, how the train system works, and on the continent there are varying train services, like the Eurocity type services, where they're jointly operated by operators from different countries, and they link different countries' capitals and even some minor cities and major cities together, which I find is really interesting. And obviously you've got high-speed trains, like I mentioned about. There is a service from Paris, goes from Gare de l'Est, which is the east train station, goes over towards Strasbourg, and then to Stuttgart. Well, it goes through through to Stuttgart, and then over to Munich as an extension, which I believe, like I say, is once a day. So there are some really interesting train services. I mean, I've found out as well there's a Austrian company they run technically a high-speed train called Railjet, and I want to get that for Train Simulator, but I'm not willing to pay the price that Just Trains, sorry, are asking for. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The fact that I can use them on my Osburg to Hamburg route, it sort of, I feel like, why would I spend, I think it's close to £40 on one train that I don't even know, because the information about the pack is not clear. It doesn't mention if there's actually a route available, and if there's a route, it's still bloody expensive when you consider how much the dovetail stuff goes for. I mean, on the subject of Just Trains, they do a TGV route, the Atlantique, which is the Atlantic services, going west out of Paris, and the only thing I find from just looking at the pictures, that it doesn't look detailed enough. So there's that. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll buy that because I can then add those Rezo trains onto this line, just to give it a little bit more line variety, because it just feels a bit, I don't know, it just feels a bit plain, coming down here, we're only seeing duplexes and not seeing any Eurostars. I think AVE as well also operates a service to Paris, and it comes down here, but I'm not too sure. But like I mentioned earlier about the topography of the railway, you can see how it goes up and down, and we're reaching another peak, and the speed is gonna come down. So as we go through this tunnel, we're just gonna drop over. You can actually see it looking out the window, and we'll hit the next signal and we should find out what speed we've got to drop down to. There's another train coming in the opposite direction. Okay, so we're going down to 270. We're going to use the dynamic braking, and I'm going to also apply a little bit of disc brake, the air brake system, because we are going downhill quite steeply as well. I like that sound of the dynamic braking there, so we'll just release the air braking control with the dynamic brake. So we're going to hit this at 270. 270 is advised, 270 there. I find it weird, this is, I think it's a little bit of a bug just for these little sidings here. I don't think it's necessary. And then according to the information on the bottom, we're down to 300 kilometers per hour. Once we pass the next marker, there we go, 300 kilometers per hour is our permitted line speed now. Hitting a neutral section, which again, actually I didn't mention it, I mentioned it on another previous recording. Wouldn't be going at it with our throttle open. It's like in here in the UK, and I'm sure in other countries where there are neutral sections on electric lines, they will never go through with the throttle open. It will always be at idle, just to protect the overhead system, both on board the train and on the wires. I don't know the specifics in it. Yes, if you know a little bit about me, I did do a little bit of track maintenance works. That was a good couple of years ago. And we didn't learn about the overhead system because that's quite a specialist job, you know. All I trained for was to be a gangman, not gangman. I mean a gangman, you know, someone who just helps out as a labourer, essentially as a labourer is what I would say. So we're now on a section which is permitting us to 300 kilometers per hour. We are 37 kilometers away from Marseille, St. Charles. So I haven't got really much to talk about now. I can just ramble on about random stuff if I want to. Not much is going on at the moment. If you watched my OMSI video recently, which was my last video, which is linked, or it's on my page anyway, my last OMSI video, I mentioned the fact that there will be a release of a London map, and I am from the UK, and I'm often wandering London. If you ever checked out my Instagram, again, links in the description, you will see a lot of photos taken in London, because I love London. It's my home city. I go there a lot. Great place to walk, great place to take photos, great place to meet people, great place to take people as well. And I recommend people from, you know, all over the world to come and see London. If you've never been, come and see it at least once in your life. You'll bloody love it. I mean, there's a lot of cities like that I could recommend to people. It's like I'm going to be going to Los Angeles soon, and went there as a child. I was really young at the time, but I'm doing it now as an adult because I do appreciate more, like now than I did as a child. And I'm into photography and filmmaking. I'm hoping that I can get something good out of it when I'm over there. I'm hoping to see the sights, and that's probably one of the places I recommend people to go as well. I would recommend people to go to New York, because everyone I've heard who's been there says it's an amazing city, and although I've never been, I watch Casey Neistat's vlogs, and I'm thinking actually it looks like a brilliant city to go. It's definitely on my hit list as a place to go, you know. And I absolutely love traveling. I love to go to new places. The last couple of years it's been absolutely insane with new places. Last year I went on a cruise where I went to Amsterdam, I went to Belgium, I went to the Channel Islands, I went to Guernsey and the Channel Islands, which was actually quite an interesting cruise. It was pretty good. Got to see Amsterdam, which is an absolutely wonderful city. If you take out all of like the drug use and that, you know, it is actually an absolutely wonderful city. If you appreciate architecture, if you appreciate culture, it's such a great place to go. And if you speak English, you won't have a problem, because the Dutch people speak English so well. And it's actually very similar to some of the Nordic countries as well. They speak English like, you know, you couldn't even tell that they weren't, you know, if you didn't understand their language, and not their language, if you didn't understand their accents, you probably wouldn't have thought that, you know, you would probably think, oh, actually they're English or something, because their accents are, and when they speak English, it's very, very clear, you know, it's easily understandable. And I had a similar thing with Berlin, and I was told by a couple of work colleagues at my work that, you know, there were, you know, people in Berlin, you won't have trouble talking to people, it's all good, you know, people speak English. And they were right, actually. Oh, we're slowing down again. 270. Gonna use the dynamic braking system. I think we're coming through that intermediate station. Yes, we are. And we're not too far away now. We're 19 kilometers away, so that gives us 10 kilometers of high-speed line left. You can see there's a train arriving into the platform over there. Perfectly on 270, and we're going to slow us down again, down to 230 kilometers per hour. And I think we will then enter a really, really long tunnel. Just going to use the air braking system. One thing I hate about this train is the air braking system. I have occasionally put it into emergency by accident. It's quite easy to do that. 230 line speed now, that's permitted, so we're just going uphill. Actually, I should coast it here, just then let gravity take us down. So this is a really, really long tunnel. This would basically take us up to as far as entering the classic lines. So I'm just going to let gravity bring the speed up by itself. As you can see, there's no throttle at all. Brakes are released, so once we hit 2 to 8 or 9, oh, it's asking us to slow down. I'm going to use a dynamic braking system just to slow us down. And you'll also see at this point as well, I'll be changing the voltages of the plane. God, this ain't Flight Simulator, Luke. Of the train from the LGV position to the classic position, which will essentially bring us down to the correct voltages for the classic lines. And I'm going really quick. Oh, emergency brakes have been applied. Just get rid of that. Shit. So it's still going too quickly, to be honest. There you go, the emergency brakes are released. It was just the application because I was coming too quickly there. So I'm just going to speed up again. The problem I have with that is, I don't know why that happens. I mean, the line speed is 230, so we could just stay at 230. I understand that there is a 160 limit once we leave the tunnel, but that's no excuse, Train Simulator. What's wrong with these bugs? And this is why I say, like, the British routes are so much more detailed. They put so much more work. I don't know why. I don't know if it's to do with the British team, because I know at Dovetail they have teams that work on specific regions, and I don't know if it's just the British team. So now it's telling us 80 kilometers again. Like I said, the line speed is 230, but for some weird reason it's telling us to do 80. And you can see on the bottom there that there's 160 at the end of the section. And where that signal is as well is where we start. Is where we will be starting on the classic lines for the final 9 kilometers into Marseille. So I'm just going to let the dynamic brake slow us down because we got 1 kilometer until the signal. These are a few of my gripes, unfortunately. So we're now approaching the neutral section, so we need to drop the pantograph. So we've dropped the pantograph, and we're still letting the dynamic brakes slow us down to 80 kilometers per hour. So as you can see, this red handle is at the O position, which means that the pantographs have been dropped, all of them. Because there are 4 on this train, and you can see here there's a sign. It says no more cab signalling system. It should come off once we pass the next signal. I'm just going to coast the train. Okay, TVM has been disabled. Just going to let the train coast. You see, this is why we need to do 160, because we need to let the train coast in reality. And so we're going to switch this to C. And then we're going to put the pantograph up again, and we're going to speed up. Now we're on the classic lines. Actually, I put the pantograph up just a little bit too early. It should be at this post here. So, as you can see now with the train, previously there was only 1 pantograph up, and it was the front one. we are on the rear, and you can see that both pantographs are up on both ends, because I believe the voltage here is 1100 volts at DC, so the high speed line is 25 kilovolts AC. So we're speeding up to 140 kilometers per hour, which is approximately 90 miles per hour, and we have 7 kilometers left until we go to Marseille, until we arrive into Marseille Saint Charles. And like I said earlier, if you there's no other AI traffic on this route apart from these duplex trains. So look, there's sidings over here that could be utilised, but unfortunately isn't. There's a station here which doesn't even register on the whole thing, so you can't even have a local train stopping. You know, I don't know, when it comes to video games, I want realism. Well, obviously not in all video games, because you've got games like Garry's Mod, I don't care, that's fun, you know, Minecraft and the like. But when you come to simulators are supposed to be realistic, and unfortunately for Dovetail games with this particular route, it's not worth £25. They should lower it to their next, you know, I don't know what the next one down is, but whatever the price is, the next one down, because it's just, as much as I pay £25, it's not really worth your time. But it's a good system though. Like, don't get me wrong, the high speed system in place is good. You get 100 kilometers of track. It only takes 20 minutes end to end, but hey, what can you do? What can you do? So now we're running on the conventional lines, and to be honest, these signals confuse the hell out of me. And I thought the German system was quite complex, but the French system's even worse. At least that's my opinion on it. I'm using the dynamic brakes now. We're going to slow down to 110, which you can see indicated on the bottom display. I like the dynamic braking sound, it's actually pretty good. So unfortunately we lost a few points with that emergency brake application, but when I did this for the first time I got 1,000 points, which is maximum points available for any, what's the word? Just going to slow down again, down to 60 kilometers. You see, there's potential here, you know, like I say about the AI traffic, there's potential here where you could have a train like coming in there, if you're coming in the other way, you can have trains coming into Marseille, and there's potential, but there's no trains, there's no French trains available. Dovetail Games, what are you doing? Oh, why did the emergency brakes come on? I don't know why the emergency brakes just come on. And the cab signalling system that's in place here has decided to trigger as well. I was actually at a good pace. I was doing a really good pace. Why did it do that? Wait for the brakes to release. It was a really good pace to get to that 60 you know, get to this 60 marker here at 60. See, this is what I mean, the French signalling system really confuses the hell out of me. Oh well, lost more points. Although in saying that, the first time I booted this up, I didn't turn on the KVB system. I turn the KVB system on now and it screws me over, doesn't it? KVB is this little setup here. That's what that noise was, and you got to cancel it by pressing Q like you would on the British AWS system. Actually works quite similar, but in a weird way works more complex as well. Slow down to get down to 30. I bet you was going to do it again. Single yellow. Did it again, I told you. You know, I'm slowing down at a good pace to get to 30 kilometers per hour at the time it wants me to do it. You know, I've been playing Train Simulator for a long time. You know, I know and I've gotten used to the physics of this train now, because I've been running quite a few different scenarios with it and quick drives. Just pressing Q to cancel the system because it's still stuck. The brakes are releasing, but that's still indicating as being 0. Bloody annoys the hell out of me. Come on, France. It's the second time on the classic lines that's happened. But I'm gonna keep going. As much as I love to show you guys a perfect run. Hey, this is not Hollywood. This is the world of YouTube. We make mistakes. What can you do there, eh? But like I said, I knew that was gonna happen. But like I say as well, I was on form to get the right speeds down. In saying that, we're not gonna arrive late, even at this current pace. We're 30 kilometers an hour. The problem is here, look at the frame rate. It's died. Like, horribly died. It's 10 frames per second according to Fraps. This is weird because the signal's still red here. Just do that. There you go, it triggers it. It's weird how some of the signals work. Is it going to get triggered again? There we go. There you go. It makes a noise, you press the Q. Boom, like AWS. I don't know why, like, it has a speed thing on it as well. See, there's another one. Why is there another red? It goes yellow. It goes yellow, so look, it's so close to it. Ah, French signalling system. Gotta love it. And there's another one. Press Q again. To be honest, I think the KVB system has really fucked up itself. Oh, sorry about my language. But it's really messed up itself. Look, it's just saying 0 and FU. So, but anyway, here we are. Marseille Saint Charles. Lovely, in south of France. What a this is actually a really nice looking station. You know, on the simulator, obviously I've never been there, like I've mentioned already in this video. Never been there, so I don't know what it's like in real life. But it does look like a really, really nice station. And like I mentioned about the Eurostar, it's on my list as one of the train services in Europe that I must do, really. So we'll try to stop as close to the buffers as we can, as they probably would do anyway. And as we arrive, there's a train departing, which is nice. But again, I wish it was a local train and not a bloody TGV. But what can you do? Dovetail Games have given me this like this, so I shouldn't complain about it. So as we come to a conclusion here, I have my issues with this route, but I have my plus points for this route as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this and seeing the world's, not the world, why am I saying, well, this is technically the world's fastest train, but seeing the Europe's fastest line. And if I don't apply more brakes, I'm going to crash into the barriers. And oh well, we stopped too early, but I don't care anymore because we had all those bloody problems. Right, so we've now arrived in Marseille. Thank you for watching, guys. Red lights on the front. Yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I hope to bring some more train sim videos. I got a couple of ideas that I want to run through. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and any newcomers, because I'm getting quite a few newcomers now. I hope you guys enjoy what sort of content I will be delivering you, and my main focus will be on the simulators, as I said, but there will be some new series starting, and I think on my second channel as well there's going to be some new series starting as well, so hopefully I can build up that YouTube my YouTube audience, and I enjoy doing this, so I hope you guys enjoy watching it as well. So once again, scenario is complete. There was a couple of issues, thank you for watching this video. If you watched it to the end, congratulations. My name is PilotBoy94 and I'm out of here. And I'll see you guys on the next one.